I guess I'm live now. Um, okay, so for this scene, this is really about reflections, and I've been wanting to do this for a while, actually. Um, yeah, it's kind of like an audio journal. It's like one of those things that you would pick up from games where you just listen to it, kind of like a message for the future, and as a good way to really, in a way, record uh, the thoughts, because as we live, memories are just way too fragile, and a lot of things are just gonna go to waste if I don't do anything about it. So, this is really the first audio, I mean, vlog or audio log uh, that I am doing. It is a little bit weird talking to myself sitting here in the room, and it is July 3rd. It is a Friday, and tomorrow is the 4th of July holiday, and today I have a day off from work. So, for the reflections, what do I want to talk about the most? I I actually had the entire day free. I woke up really early, kind of early, and I was I slept well, but not super energized. Like the plan originally was so I can actually get up today and um, do a lot of things that I wanted to do, but that did not end up happening. Nonetheless, I was able to do something. I was able to read. I was able to reflect on a few things that I read. So I want to talk about that over here. And it was really interesting that how sleepy or how lack of motivation I had this morning. Because when I was working, I would wake up even earlier, and I would actually get up and do something that I actually wanted to do, like draw or read or just browse things that I'm interested in, and I'm usually super productive. But today is not the day, and unfortunately, today is the first day that I'm actually doing some of this type of reflection stuff. Yeah, so talk about the things I wanted to speak of today. I guess it's really the importance of waking up early. I sound like kind of one of those motivational speakers to preach about the importance of early mornings. Trust me, when this does happen and you wake up, you feel super energized. And before today, I felt that, and I've been feeling that for quite a while, and I was really, really productive. So it actually puts you in a very interesting mindset. In a You're able to dive into the stuff that you're looking at, and you can absorb. You're like more immersed in some ways. So that's really the early morning stuff, and hopefully going forward, I will be able to do more of that. Wake up early and wake up early to do more things, and because mornings are beautiful, and like when you are able to wake up so early, so little people on the street, and you see outside of the morning early rays of sunshine, or just that semi-chilled early morning air, it feels really good. It really does feel really good, and puts lights up a little glimmer of a hope in your heart in some ways, I guess. So that's what I love about it, and I hope I can continue to do that. I do have to say though, it doesn't always happen. It only happens every once in a while. Well, actually, it happens more than once in a while. But I liked it to happen more often. And there is that morning grogginess that would last for about like a hour and a half. Grogginess, it's a scientific word. I learned it from this app I downloaded called Rise Up, and yeah, look it up. So yeah, there is that grogginess, and if you work through it, actually sometimes the grogginess is really good for you to brainstorm if you wanted to do that. Yeah, so that's early mornings. And then the second thing I really wanted to talk about is the the series of blogs and essays I read by this guy. I think his name is Matthew Ball. He's a VC at someplace. I'll probably put the link to the essay in the description. So, um, yeah, it's a really interesting read, and he used to be head of strategy at Amazon Studio, and from the way that oh yeah, it's actually Makers Fund. I think that's what's called. He's a VC at Makers Fund, and it's a VC fund that primarily does investments into the media and entertainment business. I have no experience in that industry, and I've heard about some stories in that industry, but I was always very intrigued by it because of all the products that actually come out of that. You know, like for example, The Last of Us. You know, the games, right? The movies, the TV shows, and it's always always a lot of very interesting stuff there. So I was very intrigued, and I kind of came across this series of essay from Twitter, I think, and yeah, so I just kind of stumbled across it. I knew about Epic Games, so this entire series is all about Epic Games, and he actually broke it down into a lot of different parts. Actually gave me a whole new light about Epic Games because previously I really didn't really think much of it. I really didn't think too highly of them, to be honest. I use Steam. I do have the Epic Store account. I get free games, and I know they have gotten some pretty bad publicity around like snooping their users or something. So I wasn't really thinking too much about them. But this series by Matthew Ball really changed me in how I look at the media business. I mean, just a couple of very high level thoughts on that. Like his whole series is a 6-part series where he broke down the Epic's quote unquote flywheel, and in that flywheel essentially has a few components. There's the Epic publishing arm. There's the Epic Game Store. There's the Epic Online System, and then there's the Fortnite IP that I actually created, and then along with a final ending of Epic CEO and founder. What's his name? Tim Sweeney. Which is really interesting. So, anyways, you can read about it, but on a very high level, Epic Game Store, I think, was launched in late 2019, and it has been very aggressive since then. Basically, it gives out games to everybody every month, and within a limited time window. And it's not just like shitty games they give out; they give you like actually pretty decent games. I've gotten like several games from them, which I have really enjoyed so far. Is Oxenfree. It's kind of like an indie game, but it's pretty good. It has a good story to it as well. Maybe I'll talk about it someday. Well, let's see if I actually get to that. But yeah, so they have been very aggressive to fight the fight against Steam. So what's really special about this piece is really how he talk about the strategy behind it. So Fortnite is a very, very popular game here in the US. I didn't really think too much of it. Again, I thought of it as some sort of like a copycat of player PUBG. And in some ways, it really is. You actually pivoted from this original version, which is kind of like player versus environment, and you and a team of your friends can play against like zombies coming in or something. It wasn't too big a deal, but then they had this battle royale mode was introduced and popularized from PUBG, and all of a sudden Fortnite blew up. And ever since then, there's been a large audience of and then large quantity of media content produced around Fortnite. Like for example, there's the NFL collaborations. There's the All these streamers, all these gamers are playing it, and the teenagers especially really really love it. And what was really interesting about Fortnite is that it's actually more than just that. It's more than the industry collaborations. It's actually tied to the Epic Store's long-term strategy. And I can't really break it down very well because I'm kind of going off by my memory here, but on a large scale, there are three ways you can actually play Fortnite right now. One is this kind of like a PvP battle royale mode that's kind of like competitive, I guess. And yeah, and then there's the second mode. It's called like a party island or something, where I haven't really done it before, but apparently you can actually go to somewhere just to hang out. And then the last part is really the creative mode. It's kind of like a Minecraft. Uh, yeah, actually, now I thought about it. Actually, excuse me. The series also included this whole piece about Unreal Engine and how Unreal Engine is killing it in the game engine market. And well, they are. Yeah, but the mat goes on more details than that. But what was really interesting for me as a takeaway is that about this, for example, how well the Unreal Engine works. The Mandalorian from Netflix and another series from Netflix were entirely produced in Unreal Engine, and the level of detail and the game simulation's ability to recreate a huge amount of level of details that used to require a lot of investments from film studios. Now they're all simulations, and it's very very high quality at a very very low cost. And I see a lot of hope there. Hope in the sense that if that gets more widely adopted, that means like CGI and also more exotic locations for film shoots can be unlocked, and they're just like a lot more creative freedoms to folks at a very low cost, if you may. And well, whenever you bring down the cost, what does that do? Essentially, will give you more ability to create more things. So the quality of the output of entertainment is just going to be unlocked by this capability. So this part was really fascinating, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. And then the second part that was really interesting was actually how Epic used Fortnite IP as a way to create ongoing engagement through collaborations with industry events, such as like with NFL. I think there's some like NFL players that are featured in some sort of events in Fortnite. And then in the example that Matthew Ball had shared, there's this Travis Scott concert held completely within Fortnite, and that was just mind blowing. And I think that he had an audience of 10 million. For any artist, 10 million people listening to your creation is just beyond unthinkable. And I watched the video. I'll also link that in the notes, and if you can take a look at it, I guess. It is really fascinating. I mean, the quality is okay. It's not that immersive yet. Imagine VR. That would actually make it a lot more immersive, but the point is that it shows the direction of the future of what could have happened, right? So that's the second really interesting takeaway from this. And then the last one that I thought was really fascinating is the ambition of Epic Game Store. I mean, the Epic company, the vision of Tim Sweeney in creating a metaverse. So the definition of metaverse is really ambiguous, but largely speaking, it's essentially there's so much standardization in the digital realm that you don't really have to deal with a fragmentation across the board, so people can actually live their lives more easily, freely, and smoothly in the digital realm. Epic is going to be able to unlock that. So the game industry's entire total addressable market is about $120 billion, which is pretty big, but not like not super big if Epic just wants to constrain itself within the game industry, because Epic's revenue stream is like what 5 to 10% of the games that are actually created through Unreal Engine, mostly. So if let's say all of the games of that $120 billion are created on Unreal, at most they can get like $5 billion, and then on top of that they can probably get some other licensing, and yeah. But anyways, it's just not that big, not that exciting. But what made it really really exciting is that it's industry use case beyond the simple, gaming. It's more about entertainment. It's more about how people actually want to hang out over there. Um, and that's like $1 trillion industry. I know this is kind of like a VC talking from Matthew Ball, but the fact that he was able to pull the story together to support that thesis, that was great, and I was very much excited by it. So yeah, I mean, this is that. And so those are the two main things I want to talk about. I mean, the last thing that I want to talk about, I'm actually kind of forgetting over here. Um, yeah, I mean, this is No.1. Just want to record some of that thoughts. Oh yeah, the last one's really about this idea that I want to build a startup over. Um, yeah, but let's see. I had this idea for a while, and this is actually partially tied to to how in the early morning I wasn't really able to focus. Part of that is driven by the fact that I just had so much options. I could draw something I really want to draw. I could read some articles I found really, really good. I can actually watch some classes that I actually saved from some other day. I can actually take a class from Coursera. And because of all these options, all these things that I could have done, that just made me paralyzed. I wasn't able to choose, and I was feeling very overwhelmed. And yeah, so because of that kind of overwhelmed situation, I was a little bit stressed. Um, yeah. So what would be a good solution to that? I thought about it for a little bit, and I mean, there's a long-term solution, there's a short-term solution. The long-term solution, I mean, the vision for that kind of problem is that if I have some sort of a companion that can help me sift through all this type of information, like kind of like my personal library, if you may, and then this AI assistant can just help me organize all these things. Because like I got podcasts, I got courses, I got videos, I got articles to go through, and they're like everywhere. I have like some articles saved in my notes. I have some articles shared to me through Twitter, and I have some videos I saved it to my playlist a while back. And keep in mind, this is already like 4 places that I saved, right? And then there's Coursera, and having to go to all these places and actually remember what to do with them and then make a decision, it's just like it consumes a lot of energy. And I keep coming back to this problem again and again, and I feel like this kind of problem I don't have a very good solution for. And I don't know if other people feel the same, but in general, this kind of like perception of being overwhelmed by the amount of information, and not being able to really manage it very well in the either like in your abstract mental model to do this, or it just takes too much effort to organize this, and nobody really wants to do that. I mean, some people really enjoy it, but I don't particularly. I mean, I didn't particularly enjoy that this morning, and I thought there's got to be a better way to do it. I don't have a solution to that, but I do have a V1 solution to that. And of course, this drives into a very, very tiny sliver, and it's not very fully developed yet. But the idea here is to at least start with a lot of newsletters, and there's a lot of very good newsletters from different VCs. I really want to organize them and sort them through. It's really a simple function, but at the same time, it's very difficult. And hopefully, I will do something before I forget about it. And hopefully, yeah, I can stick to my words and really think it through. Maybe I'll talk to somebody about it. So yeah, that's Friday, July the 3rd, my first part, I mean, first reflection, and just to talk about the things that I thought of today, so it doesn't go to waste. You know, in some ways, this kind of reminds me of this idea of how mere mortals trying to try to live and try to, try to be remembered by history. Maybe I'm trying to do the same thing here. I hope not. I hope it's not that trite of a reason, but yeah, that's the reflection I got today.